Good morning. It is the 1st of June, 2013, and this is Time to Live podcast with Quad and Rev. I am Rev, and my compatriot Quad.
Good evening.
And welcome to episode 10. We've got a bit of stuff to talk about, lots of news and other things this time. But are we talking about legal stuff this week?
I don't think we're specifically talking about legal stuff. That might be for a later date. Maybe
Okay.
if we can get Travis on next week, because, well, he wasn't really in for it this week. I think it was...
Yeah, he's out of town for work and a vacation with his wife.
Yep. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get him on next week. And, yeah.
All right. So, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a bunch of stuff. A lot of new stuff as well. So I guess that's good. I've been playing Crusader Kings 2. There's a new expansion out, The Old Gods, which adds the possibility to play pagans. So now, and they also... before it was the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066 where you started, they've pushed it back to 867. So you have another 200 years you can play in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, and well, now you can play as the Slavic faith, I can't remember what they're called, the Norse, the Finnish religions, and all those, not main religions that were mostly pushed out throughout Christianity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've been having a lot of fun with that, trying to pick the smallest county and try to work my way up, getting my ass beat, restarting, and so on. So it's been interesting. Yeah.
All right, what else?
Let's see. I've been playing Dota 2, not actually as much as I've been the past few weeks. I think I played maybe 2 or 3 games. So yeah, it's kind of going down there. What else? I've been playing... Wargame Land Battle. Picked it up yesterday. It's sort of a tactical warfare thing. Kind of
like
interesting.
A simulator or more RTS?
It's more RTS. Where you have sort of a deck. It's kind of like a card stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite interesting. I've been having some fun with that. I've been playing Minecraft, been playing Dwarf Fortress, and I've been playing even more Cataclysm DDA. I've been having so much fun with it.
Well, and as I recall, your last day at work was yesterday, was it not?
Yes, it was.
So you're going to have a lot of time to play games now.
Yeah, and hopefully actually start recording said games. Because I've been kind of, not doing too much of that lately. Mostly because of time restraints.
Yeah, I can empathize with that. I haven't been playing a whole lot of games this week. Been kind of busy. I currently have the Munchkins with me, ages 7 and 5, and they have more energy output in a single hour than I typically do in an entire week. So between keeping them entertained and work and getting stuff taken care of, I haven't had a whole lot of time. Last weekend, after we recorded, I played Star Trek Legacy. It's a really buggy game, but I enjoy the storyline, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then, other than that, we played 3 or 4 or 5 games of Cards Against Humanity last night.
Yeah, it was... But were you guys streaming that?
We were talking about recording and or streaming, but Chris was the only one that recorded it, and I guess his recording fell through. So we ended up not having any of that. But we might do it again some other time.
Cool. Yeah, I was actually joining Vapid yesterday on a stream. He was playing Don't Starve.
Oh
was
yeah,
fun.
that's right.
So I sat there for 3 hours talking. That was fun.
Yeah, after you went to bed, he gave us a sneak preview of one of his upcoming recordings.
Ah, cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing. You should really go check out Vapid. We've said that before. He's been a guest, so yeah, go check him out.
Yeah,
He's good.
definitely check out Vapid.
Yeah. So featured Let's Player. Do you have one?
I do actually. This is one that I have to kind of preface. This Let's Player I haven't done a whole lot of interactions with, and I haven't watched a whole lot of her videos. But that's because she tends to record games that I'm extremely not interested in. But I did do a rev reviews of her sometime last year before the new year, and she really took it to heart, and I'm absolutely loving her quality. I want to feature the Jessa channel. That's THEJESSA channel. She primarily focuses on The Sims and that genre of games, but she's currently also doing she's doing a Skyrim playthrough.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, cool.
So she puts a lot of heart into it, a lot of energy. She's done fantastically well considering how little time she's been doing Let's Playing. She's got almost 1,000 subscribers, and yeah, I really recommend you check her out. She's got a great voice, great energy, and if you're interested in Dragon Age, is a new one that she's doing, Skyrim, and The Sims seem to be her primary area.
Yeah, I've kind of exhausted my interest in those types of games, but I've been checking out her in. I think the last time I checked one of her videos was back in December or January. So I might pop in and check on her progress.
I've been impressed.
Yeah, good.
How about you?
See. I guess I'll. You remember Captain Apollo, right?
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, he was in the IRC for a bit. I haven't seen him around a lot though. So yeah, I guess he has a YouTube channel called GreyHunter0089. I have no idea why it's called that.
That's a horrible name.
It's a horrible name, yes, but he does quite interesting games. At least games I'm really interested in. So the current things he's doing is Stronghold and Crusader Kings 2.
No.
He's also done Grand Ages of Rome. Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff actually, so yeah. You should really go check him out. He does some quality games. Isn't it? Well, yeah. He's grown. Yeah.
Well, excellent. I'll have to check him out this week sometime.
Yeah, GreyHunter009 and the Jessa channel. Go check them out. Yeah.
Now, Grey Hunter, GRAY or EY?
EY. Right.
All right. I'll have to get a link from you later.
Yeah. Good. So yeah, as was mentioned earlier, I did quit my job yesterday, and
Any going away pranks?
No, that's the thing. I was trying to figure out something I could do that hadn't already been done, and I just couldn't figure anything out. Too bad Rev wasn't on then, because we have such a big time difference. But I asked IR, and he only came up with stuff that can't be done in where I work, or that's just his destructive. I don't like doing destructive things. Yeah, so now I'm hopefully getting more time to record or make content, actually just play games as well. So I'm gonna have it.
When
Yeah,
you're planning on going back to school after a brief vacation, yeah?
yeah, 2 months of vacation, and then I'm going hopefully to school.
Oh, well, good luck with that. 2 months of vacation sounds amazing.
Yeah, I like taking long vacations.
Rub it in.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have anyone to support, so therefore I can. Yeah. Okay, so topic. We have one. Not a very too interesting one, unless you're sort of a developer. Uh, let's just talk some about indie games and how indie games are, well, given out these days and how they actually came to it. I'm most specifically talking about how indie games are now distributed mostly through, well, even they tried to distribute it through Greenlight, Desura. Of course, it goes through Indiegogo and Kickstarter, which is usually a good place to get some marketing and create a lot of hype for the game.
Definite.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's just kick it off. What do you think of Greenlight?
Um, I am okay with the idea. Here's the problem that I have with it. It is being the fact that it is community based. Um, from my understanding at least, is that the developer puts it up on Greenlight, and if it gets enough votes from the general public, then it gets greenlit.
Yep.
And wow, that was an awkward sentence. But it gets greenlit and then is published through Steam.
Yeah.
My concern for this is gaming of the system. And there's also the fact that, as we all know, the internet and the general public at large is really a bunch of assholes.
Yep.
And I really fear for the fact that a game that could be absolutely amazing just completely gets shot down because some random troll decides, hey, you know what, I don't like this he spelled his name funny. And I like the concept. I think in application I would have to do more research into it.
Yeah, I have been following, a bit of Greenlight, voting on the stuff, and I usually just vote up stuff I'm interested in. So yeah.
Now, do they have a system in place for, like, say, downvoting?
Yes, they do.
See, and that I think is where I would have issue.
Yeah, I don't really have that much of an issue with it because I downvote, but the thing I do downvote stuff I'm not interested in because, well, I don't need to have it on Steam.
Well,
I
yeah,
do
but I
get
mean,
that.
does that suddenly mean, though? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the algorithms that they use to determine success or failure on Greenlight, but I mean, if they have a negative vote aspect, and just because you and I don't necessarily like that game or like the concept of that game, does that mean the game shouldn't be able to be published?
Well, no, but I'm sure there are people that are interested in the games, and well, if it means for me that one game gets published over another, then I'd usually want that.
But
I know
see,
it sounds a bit selfish in that way, but I do
well,
want to have games that I'm going to enjoy.
right, and I understand that, but I guess the point I'm trying and failing to articulate is it's possible to use a voting system without the negative reinforcement. I mean, if people went in and there was only the upvote option, and you upvote the games that you're interested in, I think that would be a slightly more useful, because then you can see, you don't have to go through and downvote games that you're not interested in. I mean, unless Greenlight has something in their contracts or whatever that says we're only publishing 2 games a year through this.
Actually, I'm not sure if it actually is a downvote.
Okay, well, if there isn't,
may,
then totally.
Yeah, because the thing here is, would you like to buy this game if it were available on Steam? So I either vote yes, which is usually an upvote, and then you have no thanks / not interested, and ask me again later.
Okay, so they are kind of mitigating that, but I mean, with that negative reinforcement option there, I could totally see, like, what's a developer? We'll say, like, one of the Bethesda guys decides he's going to spin off and start up his own gaming company, and he's working on a game and decides to put it up on Greenlight, and his former coworkers at Bethesda are 9 kinds of pissed off at him because he left them and blah blah blah, and they don't want to see him succeed and whatever reason. So the entire company goes out and basically games the market to say, no, nobody is interested in this entire game, and so it never gets published. Do you see where I'm kind of concerned about that?
Yeah, I do see where you get your concerns, but yeah, but that most likely things like that wouldn't happen.
Well, yeah, most
I
likely
do get the example there, and that's usually that was what they got in the beginning. Now, I wasn't really paying too much attention to news of this specific sort back then, but I think they've gone through a lot of trial and error, removed stuff, added stuff, and so on over the last, well, whenever they released, I think it was like a year ago.
And
I'm hoping that as I can see so far, there are 62 games that have been greenlit. Now, if I look through these games, I will see that some of them I've probably downvoted because I haven't been interested in them. Or not really downvoted, but said no thanks, not interested. But they still get through because other people might like it, other people might want it, and I am also seeing a lot of the community, like on YouTube, other places like PC Gamer, whatever, they showcase the game so that hopefully they can be greenlit. Now, this can't be done for all the hundreds of games that are on Greenlight because there are simply too many of them, but they usually pick out the games that they think look the best and will actually interest the most people. So I know that Indie Static and Jesse Cox do have a show called The Greenlight where they showcase games, and that's actually where I found Megabyte Punch. Yeah, so it looks actually quite interesting. Now, I've voted it because it actually is quite a good game, and it's something I have interested in.
A slight spin from this, but still on the Greenlight topic. How do you feel about developers who don't foresee a normal publisher and go on Greenlight and then abandon their Greenlight project when a publisher decides that they're going to back them based on Greenlight?
Why would they take it off Greenlight?
Well, in this particular case, have you heard of the game Paranautical Activity?
No.
No. The team called Code Avarice, they tried to get their game published on Steam through Greenlight about a year or so. They built a Greenlight page for it, and then we're working on it and blah blah blah. And then Adult Swim, the television channel,
Yeah.
expressed that they were interested in publishing the game. So Code Avarice basically abandoned the green light, said, hey, we're going to be focusing with a different publisher, and we'll see what happens. We'll keep you guys updated, etc. Adult Swim goes through and, hey, we're all good to go. And then Steam rejected them because they still had the old Greenlight page.
Okay. That's why I don't get. Why did they take it off Greenlight?
Because they had a publisher.
Well, if they still had it on. Okay, I see what this is. But why? Okay, I don't know. I don't know how the legal stuff behind it works, how much money they get from it, whatever, how much money they get through actually going through Greenlight and so on. Because how it does work nowadays is usually Greenlight is stuff. Well, it's sort of a publisher dealy thing, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. Basically, what it does is if they get approval through Greenlight, then Steam will publish it.
Yeah. So, but why Steam would reject it later, if I have no idea.
Well, I from what I'm gathering, the assumption is that Valve, quote, doesn't want to send the message that indie developers can seek out publishers to bypass Greenlight.
Okay.
So it sounds almost like they're saying they take issue with people using Greenlight to drum up interest and show community support of their game, and then using that to go find a publisher to then approach Steam to publish it on Steam.
Okay.
Which ultimately doesn't make any sense to me, because either way it's getting on Steam, and either way Steam gets its cut.
Yeah. Now, I don't specifically really like that people use medias like Steam to get their game out there so they can actually find a developer. No, a publisher. Because Steam Greenlight is supposed to be a helping organ to actually getting your game published. Not, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't really know. I don't have too strong of an opinion on this.
I don't know. I personally, I think, without knowing all of the details, unfortunately, but my gut reaction is Steam should actually encourage this, because yeah, there are going to be people that have no interest in going to an outside publisher outside of Steam. But there are also people that, if you can get picked up by a publisher based on the buzz that you've generated, then why not? Why wouldn't you, why wouldn't Steam go, hey, great, you used our format, you used our system to build up interest, and somebody's willing to publish that for you? Great. Because now Steam has the option to charge them even more in contractual or anything like that, because they're being backed by a publisher.
Okay.
Wow. So, I don't know. That's just my gut reaction.
Yeah. I don't know. As I said, I don't really have too much of a strong opinion on exactly that. But yeah, I do think that for them to start up a Greenlight actually do help people.
I could see it helping. I really could.
Yeah, because I know back in the Yogscast are making a game. And they are fairly big on YouTube.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and they put their game onto Steam, on Greenlight, and well, who would have guessed they were, of course, going to be greenlit because, well, they have millions of people following them. So, communities are strange. Let's just say that.
To sum up.
It does look like an interesting game. You know, they are sort of basing it off Minecraft, as far as I know. And it's probably going to be an interesting game, but who knows if it'll actually be good.
Well, and I think that's kind of why. You know what? Ignore that thought. I'm still in a bit of a whiskey haze from last night, so ignore that last thought.
Okay, right. Let's jump over to another one. Do you know
Double Fine?
Double Fine?
Yeah, Double Fine doesn't like Microsoft, or at least is suggesting that they reassess their policy on indie game self-publishing.
Okay.
Tim Schafer of Double Fine basically said that he is hoping that Microsoft will change its mind because, you know, they announced they're not going to allow for self-publishing on the Xbox One.
Oh, yeah.
And basically he pointed out that, you know, Sony has reached out to indie game developers and said, hey, we'd like to work with you guys. What can we do to help you? And Microsoft has basically said absolutely nothing and ignored them entirely.
Okay.
So, according to Tim Schafer, there are too many easier alternatives than trying to deal with Microsoft and get them to change their mind. So, you know you've done something kind of wrong when Tim Schafer says, I'm washing my hands of you.
Yeah. The X-Bone, not good.
I can't call it that.
I can. Why can't you call it that?
Because bones are useful. They hold your body together. You can use them in lovemaking purposes. Bone is such a useful word.
Okay. Okay. Well, so what do you think of Desiro?
1 second, I'll have to look it up.
Desiro.com. It's sort of a platform where indie game developers can get their games out there.
Oh, okay. So it's basically like a GOG or Steam, but for new and indie games.
Yes, but GOG and Steam don't, allow them to start selling their games straight away. Usually, because they usually have to go through a process of actually getting it, greenlit, or stuff doesn't really just pop up on GOG all the time. That's usually the bigger games. And, well, on Desiro you can actually find, the smaller games. Things that you will find on Greenlight that's not really there, but you can actually purchase pre-access, alpha access and so on. I know there are some games that I've actually bought through Desiro that have gone onto Greenlight and been greenlit. Yeah, so it's been quite interesting. I think actually Desiro do help out the community, because on Desiro you can even, upload mods. I don't know what this.
Yeah, it looks like they allow for uploads of modifications, and so they'll publish it, including patches, etc.
Yeah.
And then what you do with it is basically your own. Yeah. I could get behind that.
Yep. It is actually quite an interesting site. I usually pop on there, check the new games, if there are any interesting games, and if there are, I usually pick them up, try them, and if I like them, I'll probably play them when they're actually finished.
And it seems to be pretty much built around helping the developers specifically.
Yes.
I like this. I might have to add this to my my daily website checking.
Yeah, you should. It's on my daily website checking thing. So yeah, it's always good to get some stuff out there. We do have some other stuff that are actually, out there to help indie game developers and, well, game developers, which is Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Indeed.
So, Kickstarter. We've discussed Kickstarter before, of course.
More like mentioned in passing.
Yeah, and what we've actually been backing. Recently, I can just mention what I've recently backed. I've recently backed a game called Stonehearth. It's a sandbox strategy game with town building, crafting, and epic battles. It seemed interesting, so I backed it, and it actually got a lot more money than it asked for. So it finished 3 days ago, and they got $751,000. They asked for $120,000.
Wait, $750,000?
Yep.
Should I start a Kickstarter to get me a new computer?
No.
I'm being facetious. Inside IRC joke.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, that's been what I've recently done, and it does seem to be, if you have the art, it looks good, the game looks like it will be playing good, it's gonna be interesting, and if you actually need money to develop it, they put it on Kickstarter and see whether or not there actually is interest for that specific type of game.
I like the art design on it.
Yeah, that's what that's also a thing that caught my interest. It looks really good. I don't usually back games that have, some really good graphics, like Skyrim level graphics, because I think that game will be really, really bugged or will be really, really incomplete because they have to spend so much time on the graphics. You probably know what I'm getting there. Because developers have a tendency of, if they don't have a bunch of money and they are going for a really graphically intensive game, they will most likely not finish in time.
Finish in time, or have a decent story, or have it last longer than 30 minutes, or...
Yeah, that's pretty much what is my prime concern when it comes to games like that. I didn't fund the Ouya because I didn't really think, even though they got a bunch of money, I don't really think it's going to be that, I don't know if it's going to be actually good. I won't know it until I actually see the finished product.
Well, you might have that opportunity. Check out a lot of check out local gaming groups and stuff like that in your area. I know at least in the UK, there is at least one group of developers that are all working on their own individual projects that are going around to various gaming stores and setting up the dev kit Ouya and doing demos.
Okay.
So you might want to check it. It might be a possibility. You could check it out. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the idea, having now straightened out Ouya and online or on live between my synapses. I could kind of get behind it. It's a cheap console specifically for games. The hardware's not great, but you're allowed to modify it, and spending $50 for an upgrade to RAM is a bit cheaper than spending $750 to build an entire computer. So I could kind of get behind this.
Yeah, $750.
That's for the low end. Come on.
Yeah. So there's also another game that I didn't back, but I'm really looking forward to seeing if it's going to be actually any good. You've probably played Planescape Torment, or at least dabbled in it.
Dabbled, but not very far.
Okay, so I really like that game. and they are making a sequel.
No, really?
Yes, it was on Kickstarter, and I didn't back it because I think I'm not too sure if it's actually gonna be a good game or not. I'm really worried whether or not it's gonna be good. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to see, later. I might, I think they have a sort of a PayPal thing up where you can donate later if needed. So I'm gonna see if it's actually gonna be any good.
Wow. They've.
I
was just looking at their Kickstarter, and they kind of blew past their funding goal.
Yeah, they did. Because it's Planescape. Come on. I mean, Torment, even.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were interested in that, they were asking to raise 900,000, and they currently sit at 4,188,000.
Yep. No,
Wow.
it's not the most funded thing either, which is silly.
Well, let's kind of talk about the difference between the two. Do you functionally see a use as a backer, a difference between Kickstarter and Indiegogo?
Not really. I've used both, but Kickstarter is for American. I think it's only for American developers.
Correct. It's completely limited to that. That's why Pure Ownage, when they were trying to raise money for their movie, they had to go Indiegogo because if you're outside of the continental U.S., you're hosed on Kickstarter.
Yeah, so that's usually the problem because on Indiegogo, people don't really use it too much, as far as I've seen.
Well, it's less well known.
Yeah, and if you have a really big game, you can't really go through Indiegogo because you probably won't get as much money as you want. Let's see what the most funded game is. $828,000, and that was Skullgirls.
Yeah.
Now there are other games, but I think there are 3 games in total that have gotten more than 100,000.
Well, what would stop somebody from creating a campaign on both?
I don't know. I don't think anything would stop it. Like me, I've only backed one thing on Indiegogo. And that was just because it was a game I enjoyed many, many years ago. Yeah, so... Yeah, and that game didn't even ask for much. They asked for 5,000, which is the minimum thing, which you can raise again later, if needed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... It's not much, but they do get some money, and they do get their game out there a bit. But Indiegogo just isn't that much used because it's not... Because American countries are usually the ones that require the most money, isn't it?
I would operate on that assumption, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Kickstarter still is the best for, that.
Well, and it looks like, just looking over the gaming campaigns on Indiegogo, a lot of them, there's not a whole lot of actual games to back.
No, there are 3. I don't know how many pages there are.
62.
Okay, so yeah, no.
But I'm on page 7 right now, and here's help me get a gaming PC and help my Team Fortress 2 team make it to this competition.
Yeah. They have a
do we
policy,
typically do we see stuff like that on Kickstarter?
No. Well, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. That's the problem. I have no idea. I haven't been looking too much into it. I usually just follow the gaming section.
Well, I'm just looking at the gaming section.
Yeah.
on both.
Well, you don't find that on the gaming section on a Kickstarter. It's probably because of their
Okay.
policy. So yeah, I think we've spent enough time talking of just this for now. Maybe, unless you have something you want to bring up.
No, not really. I don't use them myself. I don't have the most liquid of wallets at the moment. So I will keep my eyes peeled, but
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm going to do that as well, so we can maybe possibly discuss this at a later date.
I'll do some digging into the contracts done and stuff like that.
Yep. Okay, so let's just hop over to the news section-ish thing. Let's just begin by mentioning Humble Bundle. It's
Yes.
a Humble Indie Bundle, number 8. And they have currently gotten how much money? 1.6 million.
That's honestly not bad.
No, it's not.
Considering they've only sold 300,000 bundles.
Yeah. People are actually... I hope people are starting to give more money for it. Let's see. So, as always, Notch is the biggest contributor. He does contribute a lot to the Humble Bundle, so he's really good for that.
I do like the person that donated $999 just to ask a question.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, I see.
So the fourth top contributor donated $1,000, and the comment given was "Get me out of top 10." And the next person donated $999 and just asked why.
Yep. Do you know what the most I've seen donated to a Humble Bundle is?
I do not.
$100,000.
I wonder whose mom paid for that.
Indeed. But that's not the important thing. The important thing are the games.
Oh, definite.
So the games we have there are that I'll go with the lowest. If you only give like $1, you cheap ass. You get Little Inferno, Awesome Not, Capsized, Thomas Was Alone, and Dear Esther. If you donate above the average, which is currently at $5.64, you'll get Hotline Miami and Proteus.
So that's a pretty good bundle going on there.
Yep. I currently own 3 of those games. I have Hotline Miami, Little Inferno, and Osmonauts. Osmonauts is a 2D MOBA. I've been trying to get into it, but there just aren't enough people that actually come into the games, which is so sad. Little Inferno, 4 hours of fun. It's just fun, burning up stuff.
Okay.
And Hotline Miami, which most people probably have heard of already. It's sort of a 80s kill everything, blood everywhere
GTA.
thing. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's that.
Right.
And we also
Now,
have
why did we bring that up?
I don't know. Because it's interesting. Oh yeah, we also have a. If you go check out Torgman RDP, he is currently doing a competition for his channel banner, and he's giving away a Humble Bundle. I want to know how much he paid for it.
He said well above average.
Okay, good. I usually pay $25 for the Humble Bundles when I do it.
I think we're talking about it, and he said it would be at least $10, possibly more.
Okay.
Kind of gotta cut him a little bit of slack. I mean, the guy's doing what he can with what he has.
Yeah. And he's usually the first one to watch the podcast as well.
Yeah. Last week, didn't he watch it before we released it?
Yep. I sent it to him like 10 minutes after we recorded it.
Pre-edited.
Pre-edited.
You poor
even.
bastard, Torg.
Yeah. So that's also something else. There's the Humble Weekly bundle. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Currently, it works on the sort of same system as everything else on Humble Bundle, where you purchase a pack of games.
Right.
And currently on it, you have The Walking Dead, Back to the Future, the game, Sam & Max Devil's Playhouse, Poker Night at the Inventory, Hector, Badge of Carnage, Puzzle Agent 1 and 2, and Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures.
Now, I might even try to find... I might buy it just for the Poker Night and the Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah. And if you give it $4.27, you'll get The Walking Dead as well. Yep.
All right. So the Humble Bundle, actually, they run the big one, the indie bundle, or
whatever bundle.
Yeah, and then they also run a weekly version of it.
Yep.
As far as I know. Interesting.
I don't know when they started it, but I did hear about it. I don't know when. I think it was... I first heard about it like last week. So, yeah.
Well, it's labeled as new on their site, so...
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Let's see. Let's go over to other things then.
All right, I got one. It's kind of been sitting on the back burner, but it also touches back onto one of our earlier topics, which was DRM. But it doesn't talk about DRM specifically. It actually shows that DRM is pretty much useless.
Okay.
A recent study by professors Anders Draken and Robert Vijk from the Copenhagen Business School and Aalborg University have discovered that torrent piracy, or at least torrent-based piracy, is much, much less intense than everybody assumes.
Yeah, I think I read about that.
Yeah, I've linked it a couple of different times, but basically they tracked the torrents for over a 3-month period. They tracked 173 video games across 14 different platforms, and I'm assuming in order to get that, they're talking both emulated and mobile.
Okay.
But they found that on average there were only 12 million unique peers on a game. Like on any given game. And some of these are not like, Chutes and Ladders, the board game, the video game. It's stuff like Fallout New Vegas, Darksiders, Tron Evolution, Call of Duty Black Ops, StarCraft 2, and The Sims 3 Late Night. But yeah, the max that they found, or the average that they found, was only about 12 million unique users.
Yeah.
Total. It looks like the top 5 most downloaded PC games of 2010 only had 18.4 million downloads, spread out over 5 games. The 5 most downloaded console games only added an additional 5.3. So you're looking at less than 30 million. 30 million pirated copies.
Okay. And that's actually not that much.
Yeah.
And how much were they actually, the companies themselves saying that?
They were actually saying anything in range from 9.78 million per day to as much as 100 million, depending on the company.
Wow. Yeah, I could have probably told you that just from the top of my head that piracy isn't all that. I know there are people that pirate games. I've pirated games.
I did when I was 14.
Yeah, and it's not as widespread as people actually think it is. But it can be a detriment to smaller games.
Well, yeah, and we kind of saw that with Game Dev Tycoon.
Yeah.
But there's extenuating circumstances on that one. But it really the entire study, and if you're interested in getting a copy of this, I do have it saved to my desktop. Shoot us an email at ttlpodcast@gmail.com and ask if I can shoot you that copy. I'll send you a link to it. But yeah, it kind of astounded me that 42% of all unique peers on BitTorrent are torrenting games, but the total number of games, the total number of unique peers is only something like 12.6 million with a maximum of like 18. So it really the numbers don't lie. They of course they're open for interpretation. Obviously, if they're testing games that are well past their release cycle, then obviously those ones are going to be downloaded less frequently and by less people. But at the same time, that's not a whole lot of lost fundage.
No, it's really not. But yeah, piracy, DRM. It's I don't know. Piracy isn't all that It's widespread, but it's not as much as people actually do think it is.
And I really think that in large part, the reason why that works because of basic human psychology. We're not, as humans, we're not mentally capable of conceptualizing huge numbers.
No.
Like it just doesn't work. If somebody gives you the number 3, you go, okay, well I can picture 3. Somebody gives you the number 25 and you start getting fuzzy. You're like, well, I can it'd be about this size. Somebody gives you a number like 30 million and you just you have no sense of scale. Your brain can't comprehend like, oh wait, 30 million is less than 1% of the entire world's population.
Yeah.
So, another rant for another
wrong,
day.
But
wait, don't we have like 6.5 billion people on Earth right now?
7.
Okay, so we have 7 billion people. 10% of that is 700 million.
1% is 70 million.
Okay, so 30 million is less than 1%. So I was correct.
Wow, it's a lot less than 1%.
Okay, I could have been more specific.
Yes, you could have. So yeah, piracy is not as widespread as we thought.
Yep, and with that in mind, we can kind of segue back to Microsoft for just a moment, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
They are backing away like mad. A whole slew after their reveal and after the whole backlash that everybody, including us, joined in on. They have been very solid about saying, look, it's not set in stone. We're listening to feedback. We're going to try and work with you guys on this. Larry Herb, Major Nelson, said, we're fully aware of what is going on. I am working on a few things to address it. I can't say anything more, but we are listening. So even if it's just grade A bullshit, at least they're presenting the image that they're listening to the fact that a lot of people are really pissed off at them.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do sort out some of the issues, like specifically, the biggest problem with it currently is the check for internet once every 24 hours. That's actually the biggest thing that's wrong with it now.
Yeah, that and the used games fee, depending on how that goes.
Yeah, well, that is also, it's sort of a merged thing. The used game thing and the 24 hours check. It's it's because of that they have the 24-hour check.
Right, but I don't know. I think it still has bigger problems. Um, but
Yeah,
those ones are the major ones.
for us at least.
Well, I for me specifically, but I mean
Well, yeah,
you're in Europe, and what good does the NFL Sunday ticket do to you? A lot of the features that
yeah.
they were talking about just are completely useless anywhere outside of America. And to me, again, this is, I don't know if it's just me hoping for the best, but I really dislike it when a company completely shuts out an entire segment of the world's population to focus on a single market.
Yep.
I'm sure it makes perfect business sense. I don't like it.
No. But has there really been all that much news about the Xbox One this week?
Not a whole lot.
I think they went back into their turtle shell.
Yeah, they've kind of receded. There's been a lot of, hey, you'll find out more at E3 on the 20th, and we'll see what happens there. I'm kind of getting tired of being told you'll see more. But the only other news article that I have on the Xbox One is that apparently pre-orders have gone through the roof in the UK. And I don't know how they haven't released actual numbers on it. We just have a CEO of the company Shop2 that said that the response has been extremely positive in terms of pre-orders.
For the Xbox One?
Yeah. He says
Yeah, well,
the
that's
PS4
because
is also
people don't actually read about the Xbox One. They just hear, oh, there's a new Xbox, let me go pre-order it. Boom,
Yeah.
done. And that's it. Not like we're well informed.
And bitter and angry.
Pretty much.
So I guess there's something about that old saying, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, it is. People are ignorant. Right. I don't want to
All right,
discuss
what do you
it
got?
anymore. Wasteland 2, heard of it?
Wasteland 2?
Yep. It was on Kickstarter. I think it's currently... it holds the record for being the most funded game.
Adventures in Post-Nuclear America 2.
Yes.
I like their website.
Wasteland was a really popular game back in the day. I didn't play it, which I really should. But I'm really looking forward to Wasteland 2. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Yep. Mirror's Edge. Heard of it?
Yes, and I'm a fan of it.
Yes. So apparently Mirror's Edge 2 listing spotted on EA's Help Center.
No, really?
Yep. So in the last week, listings of Mirror's Edge 2 have been spotted on various retailer websites, and most recently as a page on EA's own Help Center. It's not a specific thing that was, said that they are going to release it, but it may be, if they do intend on announcing it, it's probably going to be during E3. When they are going to say that it's going to be an exclusive thing for Xbox One.
Those bastards.
So yeah, that's going to be fun.
I'm actually really excited about that. I really enjoyed the concept behind the first Mirror's Edge. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the story. It was a little cut down. It was a little slim for my taste. Didn't last nearly long enough. But part of that was because, much like Portal, it was just a group of individuals that were like, let's see what we can do. I actually know somebody who was on the development team for the original Mirror's Edge. I do sword fighting with his wife, and no, that's not a euphemism. But I really liked the idea. I really liked the concept. I enjoyed the game. But I've been upset that they never went beyond that. But if they're coming out, I might have to break my not buying EA games.
Yeah. I think I finished Mirror's Edge in one sitting.
Yeah, it's entirely possible to knock it all out in like 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah. So,
depending on difficulty.
I'm hoping it'll come out to PC. Right. Xbox clone-ish thing. Xenonauts. Heard of it?
Xenonauts?
No. Okay,
Nope.
so it looks like an interesting game. It has, as far as I can see from just a glance, I'm mostly just seeing it. Xenonauts looks like a copy of the original XCOM. So,
yeah, looking at it right now, it does.
If you're an XCOM fan, go ahead, go check it. I am considering picking it up. It is currently on the Steam Early Access thing. So, yeah, you can pick it up on Steam, even. I'm hoping... I'm just gonna probably go check on YouTube whether or not I find any interesting footage or review of it and see if I can actually find myself enjoying it.
Yep. It looks like it might be worth it, especially if you liked the old XCOM.
Yeah, I really like the old XCOM, so hopefully.
Along those lines, did you finish Knights of the Old Republic yet?
No, I didn't even get it.
Do you have an iPad?
No.
Oh, well, never
Why
mind that.
the fuck would I have an iPad?
I don't know. You're a tech geek. Why do I have a Galaxy 2?
I don't. I have a old HTC, a 2-year-old one. I don't.
Yeah, my company got me a Galaxy tablet for our Christmas party. So. But yeah, the reason I brought that up, if you do have an iPad and you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic, or you would like to, it's available on the iPad for $10 US.
Cool. My mother and sister have an iPad. I'm not going to touch it because I don't like it. The iOS.
But yeah, they've apparently done some updated graphics, and they have modified the interface to better interact with the touchscreen interface. And yeah, if I had an iPad, I would probably get that.
Yeah. Right. Let's continue on. How big of a fan are you of Fallout New Vegas?
Not in the slightest.
Damn it. Whatever. There's a new mod for it called Project Brazil. It adds a new vault, campaign, and stat-focused gameplay.
Okay.
The thing about this mod that's very interesting is, well, let me just read directly from the list thing. The mod features a new Fallout 3 size map, a new vault, an original cast, and 5,000 lines of professional quality dialogue from over 20 actors.
Not bad.
I'm probably going to reinstall New Vegas very soon and download it.
You'll have to tell me what you think on it. My problem with New Vegas is I gave it a complete pass because I tried Fallout 3 and I'm just not a fan of Fallout 3.
Why not?
There's something about it that just I don't know if I can articulate it. It's just I did not find it entertaining. Like, I loved Fallout 1 and I loved Fallout 2. I still play them on occasion to this day. But something about Fallout 3 so completely reminded me of the Elder Scrolls games. What was the one that had Patrick Stewart in it?
That's Oblivion.
Yeah, Oblivion and Skyrim, and like for some reason those games just the way they're put together, something about it just doesn't interest me. I've put hours upon hours into them, and it's just been a slog.
Now, I'm wondering how the hell on the top of my head I remember that Patrick Stewart was in...
Because he played the king at the very beginning, and nobody remembers anything past the beginning, because nobody ever gets past the beginning, because it's a boring as hell game.
I played it a lot. I loved these types of games. I loved Fallout 3, and I loved Fallout New Vegas, and yeah. You probably won't like New Vegas then either, because it's very similar in the playstyle.
Right, and that's I have Fallout 3 and I have Skyrim. I don't play them because I'm not interested in that. And I've given it the old school try, and just not been able to deal with it. And for me, that why would I play the sequel to a game that I don't like?
Well, I think New Vegas actually has the most lines of dialogue in a single player game ever. Don't you like story?
I love story.
Well, it's probably the game with the deepest story.
Do a let's play of it and I'll watch it, but I don't enjoy playing it.
I'm not going to do it. It takes way too long.
Wait a second. It takes way too long.
It does.
So it's the old criticism. It's a mile wide but an inch deep. Have you not heard that criticism of those type games?
No.
Okay, so the original Fallout and Fallout 2, in comparison, they would talk about how it's an extremely deep and intriguing game, and yes, it's limited in what you're capable of doing, but just due to the sheer technological limitations of the time, but it's extremely deep. So they a lot of people jokingly will say, that game's an inch wide but a mile deep. Skyrim and Fallout 3 and those other type, Oblivion, were a mile wide but only an inch deep.
Okay.
You could do anything and everything, but it was really limited in what it gave you.
Okay.
So I don't.
Well,
I like story.
In those games, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Exactly, and I don't necessarily like.
Is that the problem you have? You just can't figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, that might be a no. You know what it is? It's because I'm thinking back to my last playthrough of Skyrim, where I made it to the village. I'm a collector, and I'm a completionist, and a game that is that huge will never work for me, because it took me 3.5 hours from character creation to getting to that first village as soon as you come out of the cave in Skyrim. It took me 3.5 hours because I was so loaded down with gear that I couldn't walk. And as I'm walking, I'm encumbered, and as I'm walking, oh hey, look, there's other stuff that I can collect there. It took me 3.5 hours to do a 5-minute quest.
Jesus Christ, you need to stop picking up everything.
But it's there! It's supposed to be picked up, otherwise they wouldn't have it there.
That's why you need to choose what you want to pick up.
Everything!
No, you're not supposed to pick up everything.
I know it's one of my own personal limitations. I just the storyline. I will grant this: the storyline of Skyrim intrigued me. I was interested in that, but there's too much to do in that to really hold it all together. I would almost go so far as to say it's too open of a game.
Okay. Well, that is that. I'm not going to discuss Dota 2's community now because we don't have that much time. I'm not going to discuss this, not this, not this.
According to Microsoft?
There we go.
Oh yeah, Curiosity.
So Curiosity was finished. It was actually finished on the Sunday, was it?
Yeah, it was like the very next day after our recording.
Yeah, and my estimation was completely off.
It wasn't
So,
completely off. You gave it like 2 or 3 days.
yeah, 40 to 60 hours. It took them like 18.
24.
And yeah, so there was a dude in England that won this thing. And he decided he wanted to share the video.
Oh, so he wasn't a jerk. So what was it? What was at the center of curiosity?
Basically, the reward you got for being the last one to click a cubelet was you get to be the god of goddess.
Their game.
Yeah, so you get to be the god. Also, you get a good wad of money because you get a slice of the money from what they're gonna make from goddess.
That's actually kind of cool.
But there's also another thing that came out a little later from this.
A caveat.
You can actually be dethroned.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
You could be dethroned and the next person gets...
To be the god.
And do they get the wad of cash as well?
I do not know. I haven't been paying that much attention to it.
Because that would really, really suck. Like, you are the winner of curiosity. Your curiosity has been slaked now, and you're told, "Hey, we're going to give you a slice of the profits of the game, and you're going to be the deity of the game." And then, like 12 hours later, a bunch of people like.
That's probably not
you.
going to be within that. I think it's going to be. They were mentioning something about 3 or 4 months.
Well, that's not too bad. That still allows things to be kind of fresh.
Yeah, so, well, he's going to probably get the most money from the release date, not from later on, if there's anything from that. But I don't know whether or not the money thing gets transferred. I don't know. All I know it would probably be very interesting to be the god. Decide
well,
what
congratulations
to
to that winner.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. His name was mentioned somewhere. I think it was on the 22 Cans Twitter. Brian Henderson from Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Brian, and do us proud. Be a vengeful and spiteful god.
Yep. So yeah, Modern News says that it could last for several months or more than a year. Yeah, he's going to be part in the creation and running of the game with the developers 22 Cans and also to share in a cut of the profits.
Well, not bad at all.
It won't be less than a few months, it might not be more than a year, and then we'll unveil the ability to usurp the god of gods and replace him with someone else. Yeah. So he's pretty much a god. That's a life-changing thing, isn't it? And you also get a good wad of cash.
A huge wad of cash, because who's not going to buy that game?
Yeah, and, well, I have to say, it's... If they've just given a huge wad of cash, it wouldn't have been, life-changing. It would just be a huge wad of cash. Now, that they give him the godhood of goddess... I would have really loved that. I have to say.
Yeah, it would be cool to see what you could do with that.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else you want to discuss?
No, not at the moment. The only other thing that I have is Blizzard's MMO, Project Titan, is its functioning name at this point. It's still deeply under wraps, but they pushed it back to 2016.
Yeah, I read that. I also saw a very funny comic on it back in Control-Alt-Delete.
They cut the dev team by 30 people. It's now down to 70, and it was originally due to be revealed sometime next year, according to the leaked timetable, but apparently they're restarting it from scratch.
Interesting. Okay, well, doesn't really matter. Whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all I've got.
Yep. So what will you be playing this coming week?
My Little Pony. No, most likely. I don't know what I'll be doing for gaming. I'm starting up a new sword fighting realm. In fact, once we're done here, I got to get dressed and get packed, and we're heading down to Santa Monica to go beat people with sticks. So my Saturdays between this and that are now going to be pretty taken up, and with the kids being here, entertaining them is kind of taking a higher priority than my gaming.
Okay. Cool. I'll be playing Cataclysm, DDA, Dwarf Fortress, Dota 2, Crusader Kings, probably some more Call of Duty, and Wargame, Airland Battle, maybe dabble into Under the Ocean. Just generally a bunch of game now that I have a bunch of time.
Well, you'll have to keep me updated.
Yep. I will, and I might even be streaming, so if you do, just go follow me on Twitch too if you enjoy streaming. You might just see me pop on whenever and start streaming.
Alright.
So yeah.
So I guess that's it, huh?
That's pretty much it.
Alright, well, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Guys, thanks for listening. This has been Time to Live podcast with Quad and Rev. I'm Rev.
Hello. I'm Quad.
That was Quad. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.